off by it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very important to me to make it historically accurate. And in Africa at that point in time, the calendar was dictated by the seasons. They had spring, summer, and harvest, I believe. So, and then those 3 seasons had 4 months to it, and then you had the first 5 days at the beginning of the year, which is harvest, which would give you your 365 days that we follow. So the chapters are by dates, and it goes from like 800, like at the beginning of the captivity is the prologue, and then it goes all the way until the birth of MKO and Mbosi, and then it goes from his birth on up into 20 AD, which is what I call it, after his birth. So keeping all that straight, that was the hardest part.
Wow. I can imagine keeping all that straight and, trying to be historically correct here and there. It was very, very challenging. Now, Now, Brother Brian, I pretty much know, you've already had the book reviewed by certain people. Now, what did they say about the Revelation Gate?
Okay, I have one person who her name's Nakia Brown, and I picked her brain just solid about the book. She was the first one to review it for me, and she said she likes my writing, but she liked the biblical parallels in the book. So like I was saying before, if you read the Bible regularly, some of the events you're going to see, you'll instantly recognize that that's what it was. Deborah Frank, she's another one that I had. She said the same thing. Both of them had questions about the end. I kind of left a little thread hanging. So they're asking, is there going to be a sequel? Or, we wanted to know more because I don't know. It's just my personal belief. I don't believe in wrapping everything up because life isn't that way.
Right.
You don't always get the closure that you need. So sometimes I like to leave a little thread, and then you can take that thread and examine in your mind where it goes. Or if God leads me to write a sequel at some point in time, then I can write it for you. But in the meantime, they have to do that for themselves. But early reviews have been good. Right now, we're preparing for the actual review period, which will go through the end of May to the beginning of June.
All right, Brother Brian. Now, I'm going to ask you this question right here.
Okay.
Now, you've already written the Revelation Gate.
Yes.
It's ready to go out June the 7th.
Yes.
Now, if you had to do it all over again and to write it all over again, what would you do different if there's anything that you would do different?
As far as plot-wise, I don't know that I would change it. Part of the reviews that I've gotten is that, because all the names are Swahili, or at least most of them are, it's difficult to follow the cast of characters because there's MKO Mbosi, there's his mother, who I won't name so you can read it. There's his sort of stepmother, his adopted father. He has 2 half-sisters, and so it's a number of characters, about 20 of them. And keeping their names straight was difficult for some of them until they just started reading, and then they understood that in the context of the book, then they could understand who the people were. But to be honest, I wouldn't even change that because, one, the names have actual meaning. If you look up the names of the people, it gives insight into their characteristics. And the other reason is because it would, kind of kill the motif that I was trying to build. But maybe I would have added a little on to the end, but I wouldn't have changed it. So where it ends, it would still end, but maybe have given them a little bit more.
Right. Okay. Now, if someone wants to pre-order your book, can they pre-order your book, and where can they pre-order it at?
Yes, sir. The book retails for $14.95. I'm pre-selling it on my website, www.brianwithanilthompson.co. And you can pre-order it there for $9.99. Can't get it on Amazon or Alibris or anywhere else. And I'll sign it for you and send it out to you as soon as it launches on 7th.
And that's www.brianlthompson.co, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Brian, did you learn anything by writing the Revelation Game?
Brother Joe, when I went back and read the Lost Testament, I just did parts of that a little while ago. I started reading it, and it was speaking into my spirit some of the things that God wanted me to share with everybody else. So when I'm going over this book, it's I'll do away this part. There's a part where Empiro's and Bosie's mother has to give him away. And, if you go back to Mary in the Bible, it doesn't really talk about her emotions giving Jesus, like when she has to give Jesus away in effect to the rest of the world, let him go do his ministry because he was transient. He was here, he was there, he would travel. So it doesn't really speak to her emotions. So I imagined that for his mother, it wouldn't be as cut and dried for her. It would be difficult. So when I read about her struggle, I think about some of the struggles that I've had in my life where God told me, okay, you need to let that go. And it wasn't necessarily that he wasn't going to bring it back to me. Some cases he did, some cases he didn't, but it was, you have to let that go. And the reason why you have to let that go is because it's going to help somebody else. And it's going to harm you if you hold on to it. So I would say that's a key thing that I took away from it was that element of sacrifice. And when he speaks to us, you need to let that go. It's not just for our good, but it's for somebody else's good as well.
That's right. Now, we probably have some other authors that are listening at this moment in time, and they're probably wondering what kind of advice that you can give authors, in publishing their books, or what kind of marketing techniques, or even what kind of techniques in how to develop their writing styles. What kind of advice can you give other writers?
Okay. From the writing perspective, I would just say number of people that I meet, they come up to me and they say, wow, you wrote a book, or wow, you wrote 2 books. I've been wanting to write a book since X amount of time. You talk about months, years. So my number one thing is write it. Just get it out of you however fast you can. Then they'll say, I don't have any time for it. Mark Victor Henson, who's co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, came to my church and he gave a lecture. He said, well, if you take enough time out of your day to write 1 page per day for a number of weeks, or if you even do that, 1 day for a whole year, you have 365 pages. There's your book.
Wow.
So if you don't have enough time, writing a page doesn't really take that long. Unless you're doing extensive research like I am, but even then it doesn't take that long. So I would just say, write it, get it out of you. From the publishing standpoint, I would say you really, really have to know your craft at this point in time. It's the market for publishing is shifting, and we saw the news. Borders just filed for bankruptcy. So across the nation, all these border stores are closing. The reason why is because one of the reasons why is because their digital platform wasn't as updated as it needed to be.
Right.
And there are a number of other reasons. Digitally, sales for digital books, ebooks, Kindle, Nook, Sony, all of those, for the first time last year exceeded that of paperbacks. So no matter what happens, there'll always be people who want that paperback because they can't afford a Kindle or e-reader or any of those things, or They just maybe like the feeling of having a book in their hand. But you have to take into account the digital revolution, that shift. If you ignore it, then, there's that segment of the population that you're missing, that as far as sales, as far as readers, as far as reviewers, and they'll end up hurting you in the long run. And lastly, you said marketing. Mm-hmm. As far as marketing your book, my former publishing consulting, those issues very, very good. But as far as publishing consulting go, public relations, it's kind of like hit or miss. Because if they don't follow up after their leads, then it's like you're just sending papers out there, press releases, media releases, and you don't have any return. You don't know whether they got it, whether they didn't get it, whether they care or not. So as far as that's concerned, I would say you really got to study marketing and how to market your book. I'm fortunate in that for Christian fiction and African American Christian fiction, or just Christian fiction in general, my type of writing is kind of unique. It's got a niche to it. So I would say, as far as marketing is concerned, study the market wherever it is that you're going to be. Christian fiction, regular fiction, nonfiction, and because publishers look for that. They look for, have you done your homework? Right. Do you know what you're doing? Is your book marketable?
Right.
It's really important that you do that ahead of time, because otherwise you're playing catch up. That's pretty much the advice I can give. There's like loads of books out there that I could recommend and things of that nature. But I really can't stress the importance enough of studying your craft and know what you're doing.
We've been talking to Brian L. Thompson, and he's got a new book coming out June the 7th called The Revelation Gate. And Brother Thompson, we thank you so much for being here on the Good News broadcast. We look at the clock on the wall, and it's just time for us to go. But, my brother, we thank you so much. Do you have any last parting words for the listeners?
Thank you, Brother Jay. Just a pleasure and an honor to be here once again. And I just want to be able to say, just look out for me and what I'm doing next, and I'll be in touch.
Amen, amen. And don't forget, also, he has the Lost Testament that you can pick up right now, but also you can order the Revelation Gate, pre-order that for, you said $9.95, correct?
$9.99.
$9.99. You can pick that up, and you can pre-order that. But in the meantime, you still can pick up the Lost Testament. And Brother Brian, again, we appreciate you, and we thank